Hello and welcome, Exiles, to the Day 5 update to the Luminary Merc bot. Today's theme is all about getting crit chance, a whole bucket of damage scaling that we have not tapped into very effectively yet up until now. We came up with a good use to get some cheap crit chance and some more expensive crit chance. I'm going to go over the advantages of both, just giving you some ideas of stuff you can invest into to continue to improve your Merc bot's damage to the moon. Specifically, if you want to get to the point where you can feel like you can drop annoying things like Stormblast Mine, which we notably just got rid of with this most recent change. Now let's get in game and talk a bit about when I say we fixed crit, how did we do it? So there are two very big things we did to get crit chance today, or yesterday rather, on the Merc to be all the way at crit cap. Now, number one is going to be the more budget thing that you can probably do very soon on your character if you start working towards Abyssal Sockets. And I'm going to showcase you something that I have on Abyssal Sockets. You'll notice I have a bunch of Murderous Eyes. There's actually a unique jewel that you can socket in the Abyssal Socket and it does function. Even though it's a unique jewel, the Merc can still use it, and that is Tecrods Gaze. This jewel gives 40% crit chance to the main hand weapon you're using per Murderous Eye. Conveniently, the Merc has 5 possible Abyssal Sockets you can have on the gearing, which means you can have up to 5 total Murderous Eyes. So this is 200% crit chance. Effectively, think of it as if you have a bow with like 8 or 9 base crit, and then you have brittle with 2 base crit. Think of that as getting you another 20 base crit chance. 1 out of every 5 additional attacks will proc a crit, which if you have crit multi from sources like your Quiver, sources like your Anoint, sources like your Eldritch Implicits, all of a sudden those extra hits, they hit twice or 3 times or 4 times as hard, and it's a really nice damage increase. So this is on the cheaper side of if you're min-maxing your Merc gear, you want to go through and add Abyssal Sockets to each piece. This is something more affordable. The less affordable, more min-maxy thing that we did to add crit in was to add in the crit chance increased by Overcap Lightning Res. Now this, with our current setup on our Mercenary, let me go ahead and socket the gear back in just so I can show you what we're getting from this. I gotta make sure the Abyssal Sockets disappear when I put it on, so I'll go ahead and go into zone real quick to show you the Merc's resistance so you can see how much crit chance this mod is giving. Now keep in mind, even without this mod, you can actually get a decent amount of crit, and I'm going to go over that. So right now in game, well, the Merc's standing next to me, the Merc has 437 resistance. So the Merc's getting around, I don't know, 400 and, no, not 400, sorry, 360 crit chance from this mod. That is a big bucket of crit chance. So you have 360 there, you have 200 from the Murderous Eye, you have roughly about 70 something percent from their tree over here, you have another 50% from Lethality Anoint. I think I'm forgetting a couple others, but basically, right now with my current increased crit investment on this character, I'm roughly around, I believe, a 95 crit chance, which at this point, for me, it was worth it to swap out of Assassin's Mark to put on Punishment. If you are not using the increased Overcap crit chance mod, keep Assassin's Mark. You will still not be crit capped, but with Assassin's Mark, Power Charges is 150% crit chance. Assassin's Mark is 1.5 base crit. It's not quite as good as 350% increased crit chance, obviously, but you'll still have a fairly decent crit chance with the improvement of that Murderous Eye. And Assassin's Mark gives crit multi, which is nice. Now, as for me, why am I swapping to Punishment? I tried Snipe, and I don't know if this is just a feeling thing or if I was just wrong about it, but when I tried Snipe, I felt like it was maybe bricking the returns on my Val Ice Shot, because if you hit the enemy, Split is in the order of operations before Pierce, so the Split could go like this, and if the projectiles return, they go like this, but they don't go back through the enemy, and so maybe you would miss some of the return proj hits. I don't know if that's actually how it works, that's just a little bit of a theory in my head, so that's something to think about. Okay, so that goes over the crit chance. What else did we do with the Merc that was actually really, really nice? So on the Merc gear here, you'll notice it has a mod called You Gain Onslaught for 6 seconds when hit. This mod, you might think, well, that kind of sucks. You have to wait around for an enemy to hit your Merc for it to get Onslaught. Not so fast. Enmity's Embrace actually hits the Merc every time the Merc uses a skill. So this is just permanent Onslaught. And you can get this with an Abyssal Socket with the fossil combination of Hollow for the Abyssal Socket, Glyphic, which gives you a Corrupt Essence mod. Then you want, I believe it is at the fundamental fossil to block the crit mods from occurring, because there's a special mod from the glyphic fossil that has a crit tag. And then you want to use, I believe it is a jagged fossil as well, because that eliminates chaos mods. There are always 4 different types of corrupt essence modifiers you can get from glyphic fossils. So by doing those extra 2 fossils, the fundamental and the jagged, you cancel out 2 of the possibilities. And with the hit of the essence, with that combination, you have 50-50 to get Abyssal Socket with Onslaught. Why do I like this? I like this because it allows us to swap our Onslaught Spectre for another Spectre. So for example, this turtle gives 5 PDR and it gives determ, so it's a bit better defensively. You don't have to do it, but just something to consider. Keep in mind, having res suffixes on your gear is still very good, so don't feel like you have to force this in, but it's just something that we did to upgrade our character here. Another thing I want to take note of is I also have swapped out of Stormblast Mind. Now, is this improving my damage? No. Stormblast Mine is pretty much always technically worth using. However, I am lazy. I don't want to throw Storm Mines every single time I need to kill a boss. And I feel like we've reached a threshold of damage where I'm ready to not press that button. So that's what happened here. That's why I swapped the tree around like this. I'm not 100% happy with the pathing here. I actually have an idea to optimize it a bit more, where I, instead of going this bottom area, I instead go out and around like this. I go up through here over. I get endurance charge here. I get endurance charge here because we have the enduring cry war cry specter, so that keeps that up. I get rid of all this section here. I anoint light of divinity. I swap to another cluster here and get some block clusters like this and this. And then I can improve some of my jewel setups, and I can maybe even go for a 3rd cluster. So that's something I'm thinking about. We'll see if I end up doing that swap today, but just an idea. This tree, I probably will optimize a bit further, and that's kind of the things I'm thinking about doing. And I just wanted to keep you guys aware of that. Okay, so all in all, today's update was fixing crit chance. That's the main purpose, and it was a huge damage improvement to do so. Definitely recommend Tecrods. Adding in the Onslaught from the chest piece allows you to go PDR turtle. I changed the tree around because I felt like our damage is getting so good that we don't need Stormblast anymore. A lot of times, quite frankly, we kill bosses before I'd even be able to throw like the Stormblast mines out. So at this point, for a lot of engagements, the Stormblast mines are purely POB warrior cheese with how much damage we're dealing, because we kill enemies before we can even get them out. You can still preload for some bosses. I'm not arguing that, but you know what I mean. Like, for example, I did a feared at the end of stream yesterday, and by the time I killed the first boss, ran over to the next boss, I could have maybe thrown like 1 set of mines before the next feared member was just evaporated. Oh, and one more thing, and this is a really actually strong upgrade that I didn't think about till now, but I really wish I did, which is gem levels on your flame link. With an empty prefix on your shield, you can craft +2 supports, and then you can add an empower on this, which gives you 4 levels from the empower. And if it's just a level 3, I did have a corrupted awaken empower 5, but that's, I feel like there's other things I should invest my currency into, so I listed on trade, and we're going to try to sell that, and I just grabbed a level 3 cheapo one. But that basically gives you another 4 levels on your flame link here, which you'll see the difference in damage is our tooltip goes from 1200 to 1400 to 1100 to 1200. So that's a good, like, I don't know, 12-14% more damage having that in power. And obviously, if you get more levels on it, that helps as well. We also min-maxed a little bit more in getting a corrupted +1 fire Nyctas, which scales the flame link as well. So that's some scaling for some extra base damage. Okay, I think that covers all the improvements today. We're approaching what I think is the final form for the many shot, life stack, luminary setup. I'm probably gonna have one more video where I polish up the tree quite a bit and maybe get all the block and everything figured out and working pretty cleanly. And then after that, there might be a little less updates because I'm gonna start assembling the ultimate luminary armor stack Merc bot type setup, which will highlight a different way you can build Merc bot to achieve even greater goals. I think it'll be stronger than many shot. We'll see. I could be wrong. So life is full of possibilities. But yeah, that is the plan going forward. Hopefully, you guys enjoy this update for the Luminary. Apologize, I'm kind of like not quite with it because I've been feeling very under the weather and didn't really sleep too well last night, but hopefully I covered everything for the most part in this video about the updates and changes we have made to the character. So yeah, anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.